like I said first, thank you all for inviting me to speak. This project started 2 years ago. 2 years ago, this month, I put a bid in it and got it. And Sheila pulls up the slideshow. You'll see what it looked like. If you're not from here and haven't been here before, now you'll remember it as the old Army surplus store. Okay, the old, as they quoted in the paper in January that year, it was an eyesore. They wanted it tore down, and people recommended they tear down the building. You know, and most of it, it's pretty odd. It is an eyesore, was an eyesore. You turn around the corner. When it's the Army surplus store here, it had the nice little guns sit up on the outside, but then it's got torn down. And when I made the offer of it, I walked in and let's see if it works with Sheila. Let's change the slides. It's the first thing I saw walking in. Carpet on the floors, a drop ceiling, paneling on the walls. And the next slide, I know we're gonna get there.
Yeah, it's not gonna work with the mouse.
This is where you're sitting at right now. Okay. The original tin is from when it was the bank. They had the bank here. The original tin on the ceilings. That's still there. But everything else, carpet on the floors. Time we renovated, you know, and came across it. There was 5 layers between the carpet down to this floor. Okay. There were 3 layers on the walls. And some of it's homemade sheetrock, some of it's regular sheetrock. It had the, if you'll notice, and I will say this, when you get home and you view it, Miss Sheila's going to put it up on the website. You can see the colors of it. It has the dollar store yellow. Okay, if you remember dollar store yellow from the late 70s, early 80s, yellow is every place. And yellow is hard to cover up. And you still cover it up. You still see spots of yellow. And I know where they're at in this room right now. But just slowly, but I'm going to take you through the years of what was in the building today and what was Mount City like during that time period. Okay, so let's take a moment and go through it. I'm a math teacher by heart, not a history teacher, so I'm a little quick to the point and I move on. Some of you are going to see yourselves in this picture, in these pictures today. Some of you are going to remember what it looked like. Okay, some of you are going to have better recollection of the building. Other than what you've seen right here, the next slides that come up, I did not take. Since I started the journey 2 years ago, these pictures that you're going to see have walked into my building. People have showed me the pictures. Hey, I got this picture, and I take a picture of it. So it's all pictures of pictures. Okay, where somebody wants to share, hey, this is what I've got. Hey, you want to use this? I can list the number of people who have donated me pictures to here. The stories I've heard in 2 years. I did not know this history about Mount City. I'd heard about it. And I was the little kid that went around town, sold the Brit newspaper when I was 10, 11, 12, and 13 on the bicycle every Saturday. But see the evolving of it as it goes through history, right, Michelle? This building was built, this section right here was built to 1854 by Nathaniel Wagner. His daddy was the gentleman who wrote the land grant for Mamie and get it from King George. Okay, so that's the connection there. The other side of the building was built in 1878 by Matthias's 2 sons. Noah's one of them, and I got the other one. They built the other side in 1878. At the same time, they built the Rambo House. Okay, going out Mount City, going down Deli on the left, which most of you know is Prospect Hill. All right. Oh, before I go on, you got to remember this building was built when it was Taylorsville, Tennessee, not Mount City. So 1878, this side was built. This is on lot number 1 in Taylorsville. That's on lot number 2, and so forth. There were 40 lots, original lots in Mount City of Taylorsville before it converted to Mount City in 1886. This was the main street. Going up Church Street was Main Street for Mount City. Okay, that's why you're going to see a lot of pictures of this street. And Mr. Morris mentioned to me earlier about the DVD of Mount City. If you haven't watched it, there is a lot of footage from this street right over here. That's where the traffic was. And you're going to see a lot of pictures in here. Let's go back to when there were dirt roads in Mount City. This is my building on the left. Second, where you're sitting is right here. Next building, the lot was vacant then, as it is now. Okay. and then it goes up the street. You gotta realize a lot of trees on the streets, and you're gonna see more of this in a minute. All right, dirt tracks, that picture's over here on the wall of going down this street as well. You'll notice here that the Muse Hardware, as everybody knows, the Muse Hardware back in the early 1900s was actually London Style. He owned the hardware store. And then Chuck Muse's daddy came in and bought the hardware store and converted it. You can see the changing of the signs in my picture. It'll go from it sticking out over the street to on the side of the building. Okay, notice there was no store right here where Teammates is. And then the next little antique store where John owns, okay? That was Farmer State Bank, not at the time. That was when it was a feed store, okay? Next. This is looking, sorry about the glare again, pixelation loses it, but this is looking down from, make it down Main Street, about where Johnson County Bank is, looking back down the street. This is the Mountain City Hotel. Okay, then you go on down the street, and we'll go into more detail. That is Muse's Hardware in the street. A lot of houses were on that side of the road at the time. Okay, that's the courthouse in 1907. Significance of the bell tower, or the tower right here at Cupola. You'll see that in another picture in a minute. That's 1907. Okay. And it's where it's standing. And when they developed the lots here, Taylorsville, they left the entire city block just for the courthouse where it sits right now. That was the entire city block for sure. He cut it out of the plat, the courthouse. First Baptist Church, sitting on the corner. They started out at Rones Creek, when moved up here to town. That comes into play in a minute as well. Now, 1914, this picture was taken. Where you're sitting right now was a bank, Merchant Traders Bank. Then Wright's department store was on this side. Merchant Trader Bank in 1916 merged with Bank of Mount City across the street to become Farmer State Bank. Okay, 1916. And truthfully known, when I went to rebuild the front of the building, I did not see this picture. I had never seen this picture. I just had a vision in my head what I wanted the front of the building to look like. Behind the metal, we'll show some of the pictures the way it looked like later on, but I had no idea it looked like. I missed one detail. Should have been double doors right here instead of single. I did not realize that. But after I got the front put up, someone walked in the building that day and handed me a picture and said, "Hey, here's what it used to look like in 1914. I went, "Thanks." Because you were here around 2 years ago when you was here when I was tearing it up and bringing it back to life. It was like, okay, what am I going to do? I had found some people to help me. I said, "This is what I want to make it look like." They said, "Really? Where's your blueprint?" I said, "In my head." And I took pictures of how the corners I wanted to look at the outside and how the window seats needed to be. I just took the pictures and said, "This is what I want it to look like. Let's make it happen." They said, "Really?" I said, "Yep, let's make it happen." And we slowly did. And you all seen the progress of it in the last 2 years. May 6th is when I took ownership of it. That was the first day. And no one had seen the windows on top since the 40s. Ladies and gentlemen, those windows you see with the sticker louvers on it, with the Coke sign and prescriptions and everything, they were covered up. And no one had seen them until the 40s. I'll show you a picture of why I knew it was in the 40s in just a moment. Again, I bring it up to errors, went from the horse and buggy. Now we have the T-models on the street. Okay, and that's Muse's Hardware. Now it changed to Muse's Hardware. Got rid of the London Style sign, put a little plaque on the side that says Muse Hardware. Okay, International Harvester. Nope, sorry. Yeah, it's International Harvester moved in here, and the Ford place moved in right here, and they filled in the street. You're going to see some more of those in a minute. Okay, and of course, that's my building here, and the bank is right here, and the wires running in. I don't know when the first time they put the phone office in upstairs, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. Now I have a picture of Buster Brown. Buster Brown did come to Mountain City. Okay. Why? That's my great grandpa Ninderby Drive. Okay. The next slide. Next slide. This was 1926. That picture's on the wall right there. These are just kids in Mount City. At the time, they collected together and took a picture with the driver, Buster Brown. This is sitting in First Baptist Church parking lot. There's the old Ray House, where is the Exxon or Shell service station at right now. And there's the road going up 421 toward Shady. Okay. So that's 1926. And there's a couple people that have this picture out that have some of the names of the people on the back of it. If you do, please share so I can write it down with a little index card on the bottom of my picture so everybody knows who everybody is. Okay. Don't you love the glorious trees? That's the correct type of trees on Main Street. Okay. As I say in this is way back, because down in over the little hump is Music's Hardware. That's real good sized trees. Okay. Next. This is the side of my building again. I went down up to the A models. Left the T models, I'm up to A models. Mentioned earlier, there was a barbershop here in the basement here. People hanging out on the rails here. Notice that Music's Hardware is still 2 floors. Hasn't converted to 3 floors yet. Okay. The bank, that's what most people remember in the 70s, what the bank looked like with their columns. You know, big old columns up the front. Only thing they did now is they moved it out. They took out the columns and moved it out about 8 feet and built it out. Okay. Next. Prosperous little town, as you can tell. This must be in the winter months. Leaves are off the tree. But look, it's still the number of houses down the street. Okay. Notice this house here, there's not a building there. That's on the other side of Smithy's. That's that driveway, that alley. There you go. That house is gone. Now, in that picture as well, now Music's Hardware is 3 stories. They've added on. And the characteristic about Music's Hardware is they're the first elevator in Johnson County. And it still works. Okay. Anybody remember this picture? That's the Mountain City Inn. I know where it's located. Right across the street from. No, on down. Right across the street from the Grayson Hotel, which is actually where Ace Realty is right now. Okay. Next. Now we brought us up into 30s and 40s. I had to show updated pictures. Look how we've changed a little bit. We've added drugstore. We've added a essential drug. What's popular about all the drugstores here in town is when the high schools were built. The high schools were sitting there where the old high school and senior center is now. They didn't have a cafeteria in the bottom. So they walked to town to eat. So you had a drugstore over Central Drug over here. You could eat here. You could eat across the street at Courtesy Drug. You could eat up at Adams Grocery. You could eat at Arnie's Grill. And they're coming to play in a minute when I mention these places. Okay. But significance of here, Blackburn's grocery store. You know, that was big back then. They had a basement over there and and upstairs, the dry goods were upstairs. Miss Michael started her store. Mr. and Mrs. Michael started theirs store there before they moved here on Main Street. Mr. Wolf started his in the basement of the store before he moved over here to this building. All right, Mr. I bring it. That went from color to black and white because this is the close one I had. I just want to show you. We had a shoe shop across the street. We had a piano store right beside it. Okay. We had the Central Drug, the other stores. So, hey, we had a lot going on in the 30s and 40s in Mountain City. All right. This one, I'm still trying to figure out where the location is. If you see some of these, and I might have the location wrong, this is what I've been told, okay, by everybody. And I've tried to piece it together. This one, I'm questioning if it was where the piano store was. But I'll get back to you on that. All right, next one. Little Ragged Joe. And I think his slogan was, if you want your town to grow, trade with Little Ragged Joe. That was Joe Black that owned the Blackman's grocery store. Now, most people from here, that's where you traded in your AS&H green stamps. You got to go upstairs and get your prices. You know, what you're collecting on the stamps. Little Ragged Joe, he had it going, he had to figure it out what to do in this town. Okay, next, that's inside of the store. That walked in here the other day. I had to put it in this picture. You know, just think about it. That was the days, just right on the corner, walking in. There was a front entrance on the corner and a back entrance where the parking lot was. Okay. Most people come in here and say, hey, where was the taxi place at? Where's the taxi service? It was behind us. Between my building and now the barbershop and the next slideshow and the next place was the bus station. That's the barbershop right there. And I bring the bus station up because the bigger building right next to it with the nice windows, glass windows here, next to it was the telephone office. When they moved out of here, they moved down there to that telephone office. Okay. Mr. Morris, you can correct me at any time. You probably know a little bit more about this than I do. All right. Now we put this in 1946. Western Auto has moved across the street here. We've got Rexall drugstore in here now. Now they're split. I can show you the bar stools on that side of the fountain lots because I'm going to show you where the bar stools in here are in just a minute. Okay. Look, we've got Ramsey's drugstore, or Five and Dime, Smithy's. The house is still sitting there, and the next two on up. Very prosperous town. Right. That's the back of my store. Not much has changed. It's going up through there. It's still the same concepts. All right, we can go to the next one. Now, I talked about the telephone office upstairs. We have two of these telephone operators in this picture still alive. One lives in Mount City, Johnson County, and one lives in Elizabeth. They've both been in here to tell me what they used to do and what their jobs were, and I've taken them upstairs. That's one is Miss Lucille Brown. She's in the back. Okay. Next. That was the pictures they had. That was picture day. On picture day, they got them all to come in to take pictures of them. And on the clear photos are around on the wall here, you will notice that you look out the window and see Blackburn store, street level. And Lucille Brown will tell you the story. She sat up there and talked to the beside the Blackburns was a little call box for the police department. And she could see if he was there or not when they called for the police. She talks about that story. And now, okay, yeah, you can go to the next one. This one I just put here because I love the Christmas lights. The hanging of the wreaths across the street, you know, put the old tiny lights up. Now we've gone, there's Smithy's, but there's nothing there again. And that's the current store. Now we've got different houses because the hotel's gone. Now I put that. Anybody want to guess what year that is? Late 50s, early 60s. I'm looking at the truck. I was looking at the trucker.
Are those parking meters?
Yes, there are parking meters in town. We had parking meters for a long time, up until, I would say, what, 80s? Parking meters here in the 80s, and they took them up. I'd ask a show of hands if you have one at your house. Hey, mine's at the house, but it's sitting in a parking space, so you have to pay to park. So I'm just saying, I have them. All right, next. We had a meter maid that walked up and down the street. I forgot about her. Miss May Sham. Everybody remember Miss May? Now, some of you newcomers here, you won't recognize the building. Either one. Heritage Hall is the first one. Now, the old timers will tell you, the back one is the elementary school. Now, this is Heritage Hall before they put the wings on Heritage Hall. Okay, they've added a wing on both sides and had the circled around. So, next slide. I had to put the elementary school here for significant reasons. You look at the location of where it's located, where the youth center is back there, even with where the swimming pool is attached to. This is the back of the gym. You come up about 3 windows or 4 windows, the Masonic lodges would be sitting right in here. It'd be right in here, blocking it. So I don't know what year they took that. Anybody have an idea what year they? They 58, 59?
I graduated in 63 and we had classes there then.
60, we're in the mid 60s. Okay. Now it brings me to the next slide. Now we're on top of the hill behind Butler Mansion, looking back at Mountain City. Okay. Now, I always heard my dad talk about the ball fields where they played ball. Right here, that was their football field. This is where the high school football field played. That's the elementary school. That's the community center. Tennis courts or pickleball courts are right in here. The pool would be right behind this. Okay. My building is actually right there. The funeral home in town was here, W.D. Hill's funeral home. Okay. Courthouse would be right here. Taylor's Theater is right here. The hotel, our house was right there in the middle of it. Fixation, as I said, when I blew it up, I lost a lot of this. It lost a lot of features, but if you go online and she posted it, you can see better quality of pictures. Okay. There's the high school, which built on wing. Yeah, that's when they built on the wing of the high school. I had to tie that in to show you how they expanded on both sides. All right, there's Mr. Hill's funeral home. And you can see the back of the ball field right here going up to it. Was that the only funeral home in town? Or was it another? That's the only funeral home in town? Right, then they moved. All right, next. How many timers into this one? Love it. King D. You ever know about King D? On a Friday and Saturday night cruising in this town, you went up the street, turn left, right on the other side of Farmer State Banks, drive through, went up. King D was in the parking lot of where the art center is. Parking lot, art center is right beside it. That's the King B. And you talk about they'll tell you the story about King B. That was, I didn't say it earlier, but that's another place to eat during lunch. Okay, it was a King B. They love it. Then I had to bring in the Bean Festival. You know, I've just got 3 or 4 pictures of the Bean Festival. And you got to realize, told you, the courthouse is still standing. That courthouse is still standing, that cupola there. I noticed one thing. This is the Grayson Hotel. This sign is going to come into play in a minute, which is hanging out over the street, by the way. Okay. There's a house here. What's missing? Anybody want to tell me what's missing? That's not in this picture. That was in the other picture. Or we haven't seen yet. Anybody? That's on this street. From here, from the Grayson Hotel up. Exxon service station wasn't here yet.
That's where the house is.
That's where the house is. Yes.
Thomas J. Berry House.
Yeah. All right. Next. Tell you, it's a pretty prosperous little town at the Bean Festival. And if you haven't heard about the Bean Festival, they had it at the fairgrounds, which is now the current high school where the football field is. That's where the fairgrounds was. Okay. And that is a whole nother presentation for somebody else. All right. They have a good display of what's going on. And that just fascinates me of just how populous this town was and how active it was. All right. Next. This is the only shot I have of North Church Street. You know, from this red light looking back. Anybody has any of the pictures of what's up through there? Because I'm taking it. There's a couple in this room might have been born in one of these buildings. I'm just taking it. And there's some of them might have had some on the previous picture. Somebody might have been operated on. Can we go back one? No, one more. In this house, somebody else could have had their teeth fixed in this house. Okay, is that not Dr. Yelton?
Yeah.
You know, before that, Dr. Yelton was upstairs in my building. He was upstairs, then he moved over there. Now, I'll give you a little history about my building too. They supposedly, it was brothel on that side at the turn of the century. Now, that's what I've been told. Some people that are in their 90s. And that would explain why there's 8 rooms and no electrical outlets, only lights. So, but okay, we'll go back forward. Now, like I said, the top of Blackburn's. But if anybody has any pictures, I talked to Mr. Morris and Miss Pat here. And we talked about it earlier. If anybody has pictures, you know anybody that has pictures of the town, This is what I just walked into my store in 2 years. That shows me. People say, hey, Tim, I've got this. Okay, let me take a picture of it. Okay. They'd like it to compile. Sheila said she'd get them to compile albums. Talk to Mr. Morris. I like to do it in the 20s, what it looked like in the 20s, in the 30s, 40s, and the 50s. Have those pictures so you can see, because you'll notice I've only concentrated right here locally. But everybody said, hey, it pertains to your building. So let me show you what your building, where it's located at. All right, next picture. Now, anybody watched the movie in the Strand?
Yes.
The Strand movie theater was right there where the eye doctor's office is. It was before Courtesy Drug Store. Okay, no, not Courtesy.
Yeah,
Courtesy Drug Store. It was before Courtesy. Notice, I liked it a lot. I liked the round windows. They should have saved it for the eyeglass shop. You know, that'd have been a perfect set. I'm just saying, would it not? That would have been perfect. I looked out the day I got that picture. I'm like, they're square now, but somebody redone it. And the gentleman over there that bought it said the film room's still set up upstairs. They just remodeled it some, but it's just still set up. And he kind of curious. I said, let me show you what it was. But again, I heard, but they said they told me the story. My dad was the one that fed the furnace to keep it warm. He could watch the movies free. All right, let's go to the next one. Now, we're getting into your area where you came down from high school. This is in the 60s. When you think about it, it's a thriving little town in the 60s. You got the drugstore here. Now they branched out. See how they've taken the white section and put Rexall here in front? And they've made it even over here. There's another photo I'll show you in a minute. It's even solid white. That's when they expanded to this side. They moved the 6 fountain stools to the 14 fountain stools here. And if you were city in this row right here, there's 14 holes right up through here. And you can see it. And that's why over there, the floor's so weak, because they had so much stuff and so much water spilled on that one. I had to redo that for them. Okay, next. Just some gentlemen sitting on the front porch of my building, of my doors. All right. Prosperous little town. There we go. That's the color, one of the few colored pictures I have. Okay. Ramsey's was thriving. Rexall drugstore, see how it's solid white here. Now it brings me to the bank. I told you it was 40 lots. Each lot is 30 feet wide. Okay. There's 30 feet here. Next one's 30 feet. The bank is the same way, 30 feet. They've added on, which what used to be the OK. First little building over here was the OK beauty salon. Then it was the shoe store next to it. The barber, then before his barber shop and beauty shop, used to be a, what was upstairs, the kitchen. She served food.
Eight Molly.
Eight Molly. Yes, she had her food upstairs. And then here's Courtesy Drugstore. Okay, so that building has been a lot. Okay, it's changed over the years and they're connected. So the bank bought here and moved over, and they moved OK Beauty Shop over to this shop. Put them in the back and put the barber shop up front. Okay, next. Now, there's one of these women sitting in here. Picture's not too clear on my screen, but the picture over here, and this is the young lady right here. Used to work in here. She's sitting in here. There she is right there. Right beside Miss Nancy. That's her. How much? How many years?
50.
50 years ago. Say, listen, that's how times change. I'm assuming, I'm looking at the picture, and that's why I said earlier, those windows up on the top hadn't been seen for 40 years, because you see the little white section above the door. It's painted white. It's still painted white. And then above it, where the green shades are over there, it's covered up with that drop ceiling. And that's behind that. It's covered up with that white wall in the front I showed you a minute ago. Go back one screen, if I can. See where the white section is right here underneath the orange one? They covered those up. They did put new banners underneath, which would be underneath my 2x8 right there. They put the new banners right there. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
60 years, not 50.
That's all right. I'm not going to talk about your age. You do not talk about a woman's age. That's not nice. Okay. Now, I love it that she could sell cigars right under the counter and they weren't locked up. If you look on the picture, there are cigars, and over here's the mounds and almond joints. Okay, really? Really?
I know, and I was like 16, I still had.
Yes, ma'am. All right, next slide. Now there's three more of them. That was back over here where it was the drugstore, where they did the prescriptions. And I know their names, and I apologize for getting it wrong. Huh?
Harley Bear, Harley Ginger.
Parley Gentry right here, Mary Louis Gentry.
And Dora Eggers.
Dora Eggers. So, hey, we've got a lot of history, and people just don't forget about it. We just assumed it was there. We didn't know how it got here. And the newcomers said, okay, what's he talking about? All these people walk in here and tell me these stories every day. And I hear them, and I try to write them down, and I don't remember where I write it at. Okay. Next. And I'm too young for that. Now, this picture walked in the other day. On a Saturday, this lady's son right here walked in and said, hey, I talked and showed his mom FaceTime. She's up in Pennsylvania. So hold on, I'll send you a picture. That's Garnetta Vault or Garnetta Smith. Okay. Now that's where these stools are. This little pipe coming down the wall is right there. And that little seam right up in the seam coming down. And these stools are right here. This is the bar area, the fountain area for it. That little pass through to get their food from the kitchen is right underneath the ladder. It's still there. Okay. Not much has changed. It used to be a pharmacy where they'd hide their drugs underneath the basement too. In the escape hatch.
Yeah. Garnetta's bottle.
Right. All right. See now there's Blackburn's again. I bring that up. So that's where the old OK Beauty Shop was. Farmer State Bank has built out, got rid of the big gold columns, and they built it out like it looks today. Okay, next. I had to show the OK Beauty Shop. Now, the significance about this one, if you get a clearer picture, it says no left-hand turns on Saturday and Sunday. Now, I had never seen it any place else that says no left-hand turn on Saturday or Sunday. Too much traffic. How long would it take to cruise on a Saturday night from right here to get back to right here, all the way around the block? Anybody? 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but just to cruise just the block. You're yelling and screaming, and everybody's waiting for a parking space to get open for somebody else to leave, somebody else to back in. And they used to back in their cars on Saturday nights. All right. Now, me and my mom was looking at this last night. I forgot about Burgess's.
Yeah.
You know, Burgess's furniture before Cornettes took over.
Yeah.
I don't know what was beside them. I have no idea. I forgot about that.
The Western Auto over there.
Now, this is Western Auto.
And then Molly Watts Cafe. Yeah.
Right.
Shelms Cafe.
And then the rest of it, we've seen that section of the street. But hey, it's neat to go back and start talking to people and saying, okay, remember what it was and what the buildings, when you go out and look at it now you're going to view it different. You're going to start viewing every building as 30 feet. What there was 30 feet. Every section was 30 feet.
Do you have anything in there?
No, I have nothing. If I have pictures, please bring them. I will share. All right, next. City Shoe Store. I mean, come on, that's all I remember. I remember I showed you one across the street. That was before Grady and John took over. Okay, and that was Grady and John's building. Okay, that takes care of, there's your parking meter again. They're still here. Next slide. Courtesy Grove. That's where the eye doctor's office is. What's unique about that picture? Carl Wilson ran that. What's unique about that picture? See anything in there that looks familiar?
Weight scale.
Weight scale. Where's it at right now?
Right here.
Right there. That weight scale is right there. Right beside the Petri machine.
Those are weight your horoscope.
Yep, weight and horoscope. It's right there, identical. All right, next. Salmon's Grocery. Anybody know where that's located?
Yep. Yeah.
Up the street. Where up the street?
Next to Arnold.
It is actually where Smith and Cockett had their law office, and they boxed in bricked in the windows, and you can still see the outlay of the windows where it was. All right. Next. They're redoing that building right now.
Yeah.
Assey Ferguson, right down the street. Okay. Next. Remember this young lady? Trading Post, Miss Rourke. Joined the Trading Post, Miss Rourke. Don't have a picture of the outside of the Trading Post, but I sure do have one of Miss Rourke. Okay. It's still standing. Yes. Next. Johnson County Motors. I might have these two out of sequence, but that's okay. I'm close. Okay. That's Grindstaff's. If Grindstaff was out here and then he moved down there, correct? Now, if you don't know where this is located, Danny Herman Trucking, Hardy's parking lot, that's the building, that's the builder. See, when we were driving back in the 50s and 60s, we had the Ford dealerships, we had Chrysler dealerships, Chevrolet dealerships. All right. Now, Mr. Morris, I have a question for you. I cannot locate where this SO was.
It's through town, plowed over the snow, made 7 feet snow.
Is that up here?
Yeah.
Grandpa's?
Yes.
Because I couldn't, okay, because I could not find, we could not figure it out because the hotel wasn't sitting there. Or they might have reversed, they couldn't have reversed it.
It may be reversed, but that's where it was.
Okay.
In that area.
Because we were trying to determine if it was there or if it was out here. The SO was out here beside the doctor's office.
So they Main Street, they didn't start.
I had another one of the snow, all snow packed up again, but I didn't put it on here because it lighted it out with these lights. All right, next. You might know what this one is. I have a picture of it over there above the jukebox.
Tri-State.
Train Depot. Where?
Tri-State.
On Depot Street, beside Tri-State. On Depot. Here's what the deal is. You've got to sit back, and if you can see it, like without the light, you're back here against the creek, looking back because that's the arch of Doe Mountain right there, going down through there. Okay, next slide is the reverse of it. That's looking from the street back at it. At this angle back toward East Mountain City. Okay. Next.
What was the railroad?
I don't know, Mr. Gerald. You're the railroad expert. I have no idea. Huh? Oh, you're not sure? Anybody know the name of the railroad?
Southern.
They sold, I think, most of it came Western.
Okay. Western or Gulf.
It came up down Rose Valley, didn't
It did.
it? Okay,
We came
All right.
from Elizabeth to the Buffalo thing, we had found 167.
167 came up 167. Now, this interesting picture walked in here one day, and I took a picture of it and got a glare on it. Anybody know? Won't make unless I told you, you can't answer. Now, some of them I told you where the location of this one is. There's the bean fields. Where?
Maybe.
No. I love this one because if you look back and stay back about Rose Creek Church, looking back over Parkdale, and the Shelms Road goes down through there, and that would be where the nursing home would be back in that area, the glove factory back in that area. All right, next. That one's down Neva. That's down Neva.
That's bottom.
All right, next. And it's not that's them picking it up and gathering up the beans, just the locals. And if Keith Wilson here, I'd ask him, he can name everybody in that picture. He already has about twice. And next, and there you go. Miss Pat, where's this one located?
I think that was. Big market. Southern States Co-op. It's amazing now, the fact that the same is so much. If you go down to the tri-state where that big market was, there, the same.
Right.
So this has to be the big market over here in the park.
Okay. Behind Black Control. Yeah, all right. That's where we got that one. See, I had to ask. I knew I had to ask questions there. Next. Now we bring us back. I put this one up here for significance value. I remember it. There's a little sign that says no left-hand turn. How many remember the gas?
Yeah. And
Right here.
there's a station there.
And you can pull right up to it and pump the gas right here. And the cap is still there.
Yeah.
Like just move the pump, put a cap. That's going about our business. But look, the International Harvester. I'm sorry that Dickie Walsh is not here. We can talk about the Walsh. Because they came in, they've been in a few of the pictures when it got converted over.
Down there too.
There was a restaurant down there.
Yeah,
Here,
down there.
all right.
It's free, but
Oh, did she? I did not know she ran a restaurant.
Reader's Cafe.
Okay. Good information. Next. There goes back there, a nice little populous town. Pretty much the same pictures a while ago. Next. Now, I'll take you back up the other end of town. I said, I was going to talk about the Grayson sign. Unique about that, it says a bath in each room. Okay, and if you were to go there now, you can actually walk in it, walk back into town. Banisters are still there on the left-hand side of the Grayson Hotel. The rooms are furnished. They're still there. The restaurant's still there, just like they walked out. So it's something to think about.
they have a big fence around. School kids couldn't get in there. We walked in the street, watching the
Really. Taylor's? How many's been to Taylor's Theater? I can raise my hand on that one. Little elementary school, they walk Mountain City Elementary up to Taylor's movie theater. Now, if you want to know the relationship with Taylor's Theater, that's where Johnson County Bank City. That's the parking lot. Arnie's Cafe is the parking lot right beside up to where the law office is right now. That's where they took it up from. Now, Salmon's Grocery was here. Adam's store was right here. And now I didn't get the picture Miss Pat showed me the other day. I lost it in transition electronic emails. She showed me a picture when it used to be the Tomahawk office was at the top of that building. Right here on the street. Okay. And then Adam's Grocery, I think next. See if I got a picture of it. Blew it back up so you can see. And I did not realize there was an alleyway through there.
That's the alleyway down to the school.
No, that's
Adams is probably used to be right on the other side there.
okay. I know where it's at now.
Somebody's got.
Right, that's the law office is right there now, yes. All right, next. There's Mr. Adams and his grocery store. I looked at the high ceilings and I looked at the cabinets on it. Pretty narrow, but still. All right, next. Anybody tell me what that is? Mr. Morris, you're out.
It's Calaboose. It's Calaboose.
Calaboose and Calaboose is on the right. Library, you are correct. Library is here. Now, that was the civil defense office. That's where you drive through where the civil defense office is right now to go pay your water bill right now. The blue building is sitting where the Calaboose is. Okay.
That's true.
Yeah. No, that's right here behind us on Donald's, right here behind us. Hey, go back. Now, the question is, where's the church? Where did this library go?
That's like little Woodard run that library.
Is that the church down here across from Tri-State?
I don't know where it went to, but it was down there for a long time.
Right. I know where the Calaboose is. I know where that's at.
Yeah, little library. The one I was in, so Mountain City, it was above the police station.
Okay,
The little house there.
the little house, that one. Yes, ma'am, this is that street. And remember Junior, who's not Junior, Danny Stouts. That was Danny Stouts Furniture Store back here. That's Hitchcock Memorials right there, their building. All right, I'm getting close to the end, by the way. Next. Go back, just to bring back what it is. Why did I do it? We're talking about here, what's going on in the little metropolis here, how we can rebuild it. Next. bring back the color photo of Mountain City and how they bricked everything up. Blackburn's was ahead of its time, ladies and gentlemen. It was ahead of its time. Okay, next. My building. Why did I get it? I needed a retirement project. You know,
Did you ever find out earlier? when you was business there,
where?
Frank Buchanan?
Where? What? Which one? I've got the history completed from the Wagners all the way up to me. All right, next. Now I bring that back because when we took the first day, I think I shocked everybody by getting the tree company to remove the metal off the front of the building. When I took the metal off the front, it shocked me too, and I was not here. I was in Southport at the time, and they took me pictures and said, "Hey, this is what your building looks like with no metal on it." I went, "Okay, can you zoom in a little bit?" And they said, "Okay, next picture." They zoomed in all right. There was no brick. Okay, no brick on this side. There was that white plaster with chicken wire. It was thick. It was real thick. It had covered these windows up forever. Notice the big plate glass right here. It's the door. They had covered all these up. Here, this was covered up where they painted it over the years. I love this picture and the next one. Some gentleman came to me last summer before I opened up and said, "You've got a flaw in your brick pattern." I said, "Okay, where?" He said, "I hate to tell you, let's walk across the street." He walked me across the street, turned me back and said, "Right here, there's a crack up here." I said, "Let's come in here and look at my 1914 picture." The same crack. We're good. 109 years, 108 years. We're good. It's not following that. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I've never seen a building built this sturdy. It is built 16-inch walls. The brick are laid 6 layers this way. The 7th layer is turned diagonally. They're butted against each other. 6 layers running along, 4 right wide. Then they turn this one sideways. Then tied it together. Up top, the craftsmanship up on the 3rd floor is unbelievable. They mortar and tin them together where they shoot out the beams, a square beam, then put a square notch, and slid it in, and paved it into place. Upstairs, there are turnbuckles upstairs, pulling it down, where the little stars you'll see on the outside of any of the buildings, and this one especially, and then on the inside, you'll notice that I'm not a Dallas Cowboy fan. Some lady goes, "Oh, congratulations, Dallas." I said, "Man, how did it put that star?" It's pulling it this way, and they're pulling it down. You know, I look in here and I say, when did they convert it? They quit using square nuts on steel beams in the 20s and 30s. Okay, and those are square nuts. I already talked about the tin ceilings in here. Okay, I went back. When I was going to remodel it, the building inspector came in and said, "I need to inspect what you're building." I said, "I'm not doing any building." He said, "Yeah." I said, "No, I'm just tearing down. And if it's rotted, I put it back. So I know we're doing no new construction." He came back 3 months later and said, "Well, okay, what have you built?" I said, "I built the stage." I built a wall to cover up the section because it had those nice little I-beams in between. And I had to cover it, make it look nice. That's it. I stole the concept of the wall with the windows from the 2nd floor. Got to realize back in the day, they didn't have a lot of electrical lights. But on the 2nd floor, there's a wall right above us going about right here all the way down. And right at the ceiling, 2 feet from the ceiling, there's a row of windows all the way down. That's so the transient light from the outside would come through for the hallway to go all the way down. They didn't have to put a light. They had to put lights down the hallway. Okay. You talk to Lucille Brown and you talk about they use the side steps. There's a side door right here. What was in this building once the telephone office left upstairs? Anybody?
We had a studio.
Had a studio that took pictures up there. No, one day. It's somebody else. Okay, they had that there. It's been used as a clothing store up on the other side. Most older gentlemen and ladies remember the other side is a smoke shop. Yes, You go down the sidewalk, go down 2 steps, turn the corner and go down a flight of steps. Now, love them to death. And I'll tell you right now, I love them to death. When they decide not to use the basement, they put a piece of plywood up, backfilled it, didn't put anything else. Just shut the door on this side. There's a problem. I opened it up to fix the floor where you're all sitting, Mr. Morris, up in that area, fix the floor. And that side of the sidewalk is caved in into my building. I asked the city, you need to tear up the sidewalk because I can look underneath the sidewalk on both sides, 20 feet on both sides, and there's this much missing. You have to tear it up. We have to backfill it. No, you fix the block first, and then we'll backfill it. Okay, that's a little difference. Okay, but again, they just put a piece of wood up, and the door and the window lights, side lights was still there. And if you were to go down the street now, I had it stucco. I had to have it stucco because there were so many leaks on this side and the back of the building leak. It was amazing. That's why you see stucco, but it wasn't a good thing. Brick, handmade on site, because I sent a brick off to Clemson University and they analyzed the brick and the mortar. The mortar was made with limestone sand mix, which is a soft mix. Anything that's a hot mix adheres to it will pull it apart. It will pull the face off the brick. Worst thing they ever did was paint that side of the building because it's pulling out the face off of a brick and it's pulling out the joints. I'd have to go in with a soft mix and put them back in for it to stay. Now I had to fix a certain level all the way down to keep it from leaking. Okay, now since I've done that, I've learned a lot more. The back of the building's a little different story. It's been patched enough extra doors put back in there. Kind of amazing. What's the next slide? There we are today. I really wanted to, I told Scotty before he left, I said, I'm gonna thank you for this. He gave me the big flag to put on the side. Okay, I realize now I hung it incorrectly or got it hung correctly. I'll be fixing that, okay? But I just need you to know I hung it because I said it had to give something, a little bit of life to it. But looking at it now, there's a lot of things that we're going. I'm going to come back late fall, late spring, and cut the windows out and put the windows back here on the side of the road so you can actually see traffic going down the road here. I'm working upstairs, not bringing back the brothel, but I'm going to bring back office spaces. And so there's a lot of progress, but I do like to thank you for your time. Brought back a little history to you. Some of you got to relive some of the days you remember real good. Some days you're like, oh, okay. But at the same time, yes. Yes.
When I was still up here. I'm used to being snake, but he had pictures. Or if they pay him, I ain't gonna walk, but check it out.
Really? Hey, but thank you. Yes, Greg.
Can you, a lot of people might ask about the little murals that are in the old living spaces down the side.
The murals are is it class of 89, 87, 89? I think it's 89. Yes, one of them, and they're all the artists. I've contacted all the people to see if they wanted them. As right now, the people that painted them do not want them. I will save them for them to have them. And I've asked all of them. Found them because I know most of them. They walked in. I said, "You want your painting? No. You want your?" But they painted that years ago just to block up the side, give us a good view. I can't even sandblast it to get the paint off because I tear out the mortar joints. You know, if they'd left it alone, picture's gone. If they'd left that side alone, it looked like this other side. I'm not even there. It's all right, Miss Sheila.
Oh, I'll get you back.
And what's unique about the other side where the grass is that when they built the Ramsey store, they cut holes in the bricks, or sliced the piece. They sliced, you see the black right here, they put it there so they can slide the flashing in and then put the black mandy on it to keep it from leaking because they attached their building to this building because it was in the easement, attached to this building. Now it's not attached to Smithy's. There was a walkway, but most people remember the cell phone booths. The half booth up there on the other side, in between Smithy's and the dime store. But if you have any pictures or know anybody that has any pictures, like I said, Pat, Sheila, Mr. Morris, we want to get it together so we can put it someplace local so people can remember it. And if you think it's, oh, I've got this, even if you think it's nothing, no, it could be significant to somebody. Like I said, all these pictures today have walked in here in the last 2 years. I have a few more and I just didn't make it. But they walk in and I use them and I talk about them. I have them up on the screen every now and then when somebody's walking in. What are you doing? I said, I'm just playing my pictures, trying to organize them. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not originally from here. We were talking about prosperous 50s, 60s. What businesses were around here?
We were the bean capital of the world.
Okay.
Wall Street Journal came in.
Yeah.
The gentleman came in from Wall Street Journal and distinguished that this is the bean capital of the world. And after the beans left, and I don't know how.
Why did he?
Don't know. I don't know that. I'm not that historian. And then tobacco farmers came in. And that'll be another lecture for them to do. What happened? What happened? Why did we go through? Then we became in the 70s, 80s industries. Yes, Ms. Lois.
I can remember Tim when we were the big capital for when they were selling the things, the market was down here for trusting. The cars, the trucks, they bring farmers, from big. Lots of days when we were in the farming season, there will be traffic lines that take food line in Shady and back of stuff. 67 trying to get into the market.
Hey, then we changed, went to the tobacco community, and they sold off the tobacco lots. I don't know all that. Like I said, in 2 years, I went from knowing not that much about the history of Mountain City other than the stores I ran around with and all the people I saw to having all these pictures and everybody telling me stories every day. So
Tobacco's been around for a long time. I used to go over to China. Have the management fields off. I pulled the chain on my grandfather.
for a lot.
And I had 2 minutes and I had to go back and cut out. I was like that. So that's been
50s, 40s, 50s. All right. Thank you all for, yes, sir.
I think the main thing that with the bean farming, I think they started raising beans in greater quantities in other parts of the country, picking them with
Automation.
And that just puts
The bean pickers out.
out of the
So we still have some reforms in our
Well, do they?
process.
You're better on that.
They just start Brexit.
Okay. Liz lives right the street, the house on the other side of the high school, old high school. All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
When your dad and I were in high school in the 50s. I remember Mr. Ray Stadium. Class. Get all the work done, bring it down to the building. It's a pinball machine.
I've heard that story before. I've heard that he would play pinball and rack up all the games and then let the kids play it. Yeah, I've heard that story many times before. Oh, they got it done. But I've ran over my allotment. I got one more up here. I've run over my allotment at a time. Sorry. Yes, this will be available. Sheila will put it on the historical website. They can look at the slides because I don't care. I mean, people walked in and gave me, I will come out and figure out who gave me credit for the photos, who walked in here and handed me the photos. I don't mind giving them credit. I did not create these. I did not think. but I like it that they come. Yes, yes, sir.
One last question. The beam that's over here, this may not be the longest in the county, but is it the tallest kind beam in any structure?
I believe I think we are. We're the tallest building. I think we're the tallest building in the county.
It's not long, it's tall.
It's hey, I'll tell you something, there's a lot of history here. This one right here, and just to bring it back, just to let people relive what they've seen or what it used to be. Somebody said, oh, you just did it was not bad, it's fun. You know, to bring it back, then hear stories. Might work one day and then 20 people compliment me on taking the stucco off the chimneys over here, because I found the chimney stucco, you know. Took me a half a day, but I got it off. But everybody's like, oh, there's a chimney. There's actually 6. There's one under steps, 2, 3, number 4 back here on the back wall, number 5 is back in here, and number 6, weirdly, it's only on the 2nd floor up. Yes, I just found it the other day when I tore down another wall.
Here they used to be a little section up there. Redstone, I worked there when you tore down. We used to have a little small restaurant, I guess you call it, there. One of them was called Smoke Shop.
And that, speaking of the smoke shop, upstairs, there's a bathroom.
Downstairs.
Right, but upstairs,
Yeah.
in the bathroom, it says, ladies, wash your hands before you go back to the smoke shop. On the wall, it's written. And I have a galvanized shower up there and an old timey commodes. But it says, but it was, you came through that door over there and it was on that second where they divided it off. Yes, they've told the stories on them, who all used to hang out over there. I've heard that. All right, I have run over my allotment, young lady. I apologize. Thank you all. Go. If I tell it, like I told it before, then somebody else does it. When I first got it, I opened my mouth.
Keep it a secret then.
And then when it shows up, it's like somebody asked me about the gazebo the other day. Want to know, it's news. I need to know. I said, listen, I bought it cheap. I got some good old boys to haul it. They ran out of gas. I said, just put it right there. So if you keep asking me about it, they'll find some gas money and they'll haul it on someplace else. So no, just give me time. I got a 60-month plan. I'm on month 23 of 60-month plan of this building. And then I have the lot planned for what I want to do the lot of next door. So thank you all for coming out. Have a good day. Yes, sir. No, I'm good. I'm going to cover it. I'll cover it when y'all leave. I get it. I know how in my head. I appreciate it though. Y'all good. Just socialize, look around. There's stuff on the artifacts on the wall. So have a good evening. Thank you though. Appreciate it for all.